Welcome to our final episode of the UAE Holding Structures mini-series. In our previous episodes, we explored why the UAE is a global structuring center, how passive holding vehicles work, how to choose between jurisdictions, and the physical considerations that come with these structures. In this final episode of the series, I am joined by Hermione Harrison, partner and head of our Abu Dhabi office, to focus on a trend we are seeing more and more in practice: migration. Hermione, when we talk about migration in this context, what do we actually mean?
Hi, Jenny. So we're referring to the migration of pre-existing holding structures into the UAE rather than setting something up from scratch. We're also increasingly advising on the repositioning of existing UAE structures, particularly where clients are looking to move between jurisdictions but within the UAE. So essentially, migration avoids the need to set something up from scratch. It allows an existing company to move from one jurisdiction to another without breaking continuity.
That's interesting. And why is this becoming more relevant now?
So keep in mind that migration allows a company to change its legal home while remaining the same legal entity. The ownership stays the same, the assets remain within the company, and the contractual continuity is preserved. So what changes is the governing law and the regulatory framework. And this is becoming more relevant now because clients are reassessing legacy structures, particularly in light of changing regulatory, tax, and banking expectations.
That makes sense conceptually, but when do you typically see this coming up in practice?
So in practice, the migration tends to be driven by specific trigger events. So we often see it considered following a major merger or acquisition, where a structure needs to align with a new owner or group framework, perhaps in advance of a capital raise to ensure the holding structure is credible and investor friendly, where there's been a change in a regulatory or tax environment in the original jurisdiction, or more broadly, where the existing structure no longer meets the banking substance or governance expectations. So what these situations have in common is that they create a natural moment to reassess the structure and, where appropriate, upgrade the jurisdiction without disrupting continuity.
Which naturally brings us to the next point. Why are we seeing so many clients moving towards the UAE right now?
Yeah, so in many cases, the original holding company was established years ago, often in a traditional offshore jurisdiction. At the time, the priorities were simplicity and tax neutrality. But today, clients are facing increased scrutiny from banks, tax authorities, and counterparties. Substance expectations are often higher. Treaty access is harder to defend. Certain jurisdictions no longer carry the same level of credibility that they once did. So it's against this backdrop, the UAE offers a very compelling alternative. It combines regulatory acceptance, fiscal clarity, political stability, and a strong banking ecosystem without forcing clients to abandon passive structuring altogether. So this migration platform allows clients to upgrade the jurisdiction without dismantling the structure.
So there has also been a lot of movement at the legislative level. How should we be thinking about that?
Yeah, what we are also seeing in the UAE is a shift at the legal level. The UAE's Federal Commercial Companies Law was amended at the end of last year to allow for the transfer of a company's registration between jurisdictions, including between the mainland and free zones, while preserving legal personality. Now, this is a very meaningful step forward, but the provision is still high level. It is subject to regulatory approvals and the practical ability of authorities to process the transfer, and detailed procedures are still evolving. So in practice, while migration is now conceptually enabled, execution is not yet fully standardized, particularly when moving from the mainland into a financial free zone in the UAE. So as a result, careful structuring really does remain key to achieving the intended outcome without disrupting continuity. The key message is that the direction is clear, but the pathway is still being built.
So if the clients are looking to migrate, where are they typically going?
Not all UAE jurisdictions support migration equally, particularly when considering movement between mainland and financial free zones. So, for example, the ADGM is often the preferred jurisdiction and destination for migrating passive holding companies. Its common law framework, direct adoption of English common law, clear migration regulations, and acceptance by international banks make it particularly well suited for this purpose. DIFC also supports migration, but entry is slightly narrower. Qualifying criteria apply, and not all passive holding structures will fit in within the prescribed company framework. The other alternative often considered is RAC ICC, which is preferred where the client is unable to demonstrate sufficient nexus to the UAE or a financial free zone. Its flexibility and absence of qualifying requirements make it a practical alternative for migrating passive holding companies that need continuity and simplicity without the additional entry thresholds.
And how do you see this evolving?
So overall, there is absolutely a clear policy direction, Jeny, towards enabling greater flexibility across the jurisdictions. Recent legislative developments and government-led initiatives show a clear willingness to support more seamless transitions. We expect further clarity and more consistent implementation over time, particularly in relation to mainland and free zone transitions.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of this mini series on UAE holding structure. Thank you for your insights, Hermione.
Thank you, Jeny.
We hope the series have helped clarify not just the options available, but how to think about holding structures in more of a strategic and deliberative way. If you would like to discuss how these concepts apply to your own structure or require tailored advice, please feel free to reach out to MHQ. Again, thank you for tuning in.